What's up, freight brokers? If you're serious about quitting your jobs, quitting your jobs and running your freight broker business full time, I think it would be in your best interest to at least listen to what I have to say today. I want you to treat this information like you would a cafeteria line. I want you to cruise the line, see what's available. If you like some things, go ahead and take it, use it. If you don't want it anymore, toss it to the trash, throw it away. No harm, no foul. But I want you to understand this about the information that I'm going to share with you. You see, I quit my job at 39 years old to run my freight broker business full time, and I haven't worked a job since, and I'm 48 now. So I'm not telling you what might work. I'm not telling you what somebody told me. I'm sharing some specific things that have worked for me that has allowed me not only to quit the job, but to stay off of the job for almost a 10-year period of time now. And although I think mental preparation is important, this is not just going to deal with the mental stuff. Yes, we're going to cover that briefly because it's a part of getting yourself prepared to take on the challenge that you're going to have to take on. But at the same time, I'm going to deal with specifics, things that I've done in my own business to grow my business, how I've selected customers, how I've selected freight. That way you can get an idea of some of the things that you might want to do and implement in your own business to help you take your business to the next level, and also so that you can start to separate from the job and stay off of your job. First, I want to applaud anybody who has the courage to quit your job, because it takes courage to part with traditionalist thinking, the thinking that you have to have a job in order to survive, in order to live your best life, you have to have a job. You've separated yourself from that thinking. You have the courage to at least look at something different, saying, I don't need a job in order for me to live my best life. As a matter of fact, I can live a better life if I didn't have a job, because I would have more control over my time. And the one thing that we can't get back, you can't go to a grocery store and purchase it, you can't go to Walmart and purchase it, is time. So know how important that is. And when you can control more of your time because you're running your own business, you can schedule your time after some time. Of course, it doesn't start out that way, but once you get to a groove where you can take charge of more of your time, then that's certainly where you want to be. Because the more time you have, the more creative you can be. But there's a lot that we need to consider before we start this journey. When we're looking at quitting our job, we have to first understand that this is a very risky thing that we're doing here. And as a matter of fact, I think there's two ways of doing it. There's an incredibly risky way of quitting your job, like when people say, hey, I'm just going to step out on faith. I don't have a plan. I'll figure it out as I go. I don't suggest you do that. That's very risky. A way to take some of the risk out is to have a plan, to have a method to your madness. So here are a few things that have worked for me that just might work for you as well. Prepare yourself mentally and financially to quit your job. Number one, when you're getting ready to quit a job, for the mental part of this game, just think about it. You've been dependent on a job for the last however long of your life. So having a job, expecting a check to come every week or every month, however often you get paid, that's something you've come to expect. It's happened on time, every time. There's never been a problem with that. Well, now that security blanket is about to be pulled off of you. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes you're going to feel a breeze. That's just how that goes. So be prepared for that. Be ready for that mentally, because it can really weigh on you to think that, hey, man, what am I going to do now? I don't have a check coming. If you start thinking about that more than you're thinking about building your business, that's going to cause you some serious issues. So I would highly suggest taking a look at your overall financial picture and then deciding what it is that you don't need, because this is a game of sacrifices. We're starting a business. We're starting something that we feel like can take our families, take our lives to the next level. So know that there'll be sacrifices that you have to make. If you're not willing to make those sacrifices, then you're probably not going to do well in business, because that's required. That's something that just comes with the territory. Now, with that said, my example where I had to sacrifice some things was, I had a thing for cars. I would buy a car, keep it for a period of time, get tired of it, go get another car, start the process all back over again. But all the time I'm paying for a car every month. What I realized is that I didn't need to keep a car note where I'm having to pay something every month for a car. I can drive a car without a car note. So what I decided to do was to get me a $5,000 truck, great truck. I've had it now for the last 3 years, hadn't had any problems out of it. It's gotten me everywhere I wanted to go. And for this period of time, it has allowed me to put that money back into myself, back into my business. And $500, $600 is a big difference when you're just starting a business. You will definitely be able to use $500 or $600. If not on your business, which you probably will, you'll definitely be able to use it on yourself for your own self-development, because you're going to need to focus on that. There are so many areas that you're going to need to develop in. Develop our sales skills to become more financially polished, because a big part of what we do on a day in and day out basis is numbers. And the sharper we are on the numbers, the better freight brokers will be. We also want to develop our people skills, our overall person. And all of these things require that we educate ourselves. And education costs money. And the point I'm really trying to emphasize here is that freeing up some money to do other things, some things that you may not even see right now, because you may take losses in your business and you'll have to cover those losses from somewhere. For example, I can't tell you the number of times when I first got started where I underbid on loads. And when you lose, you have to pay for those losses. So you're gonna go through some changes and you're gonna need money for things that you might not be able to see right now. So the bottom line is that we should be in a posture of freeing up money. If you can downsize your lifestyle in certain areas, whatever you see fit, whatever you think is a good idea for you to start taking a look at slashing in order to free up cash for your business, for the unexpected, for some things that will be expected, like your self-development. Freeing up that cash is going to be key. You'll decide how you do that. All right, so next let's talk about the freight broker business. And now you've quit your job, what you're basically looking for your business to do. We all want our business to replace our job, meaning our business income will come right in and replace the income that we had on our jobs. Now the question is, how fast can you do that? Usually it doesn't come just like that. It's not going to come in the first 6 months, the first 12 months. Probably more so in the 2 to 3 year period of time, if you can make your business last that long and then grow the business over that period of time. Because you start off at zero. You don't have any customers. Nobody knows anything about you. So the question is, what should you be focused on if the idea is to replace that income? In my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt, what your focus should be in a freight broker business is, how do you make money? What are the money-making activities in a freight brokerage? I need to identify those activities and focus there. And we know that to be getting customers and moving loads. Focus your activity in those areas. Too many times people focus on the trivial parts of the business. Oh, I got to get a surety bond. Oh, I got to get my authority. Oh, I got to go and get insurance. All of those things are things that we have to have, no doubt about that. But it's important to understand that these are not money-making activities. These activities simply set us up so that we can make money. And if replacing the income, starting to produce income is a focus, which it should be, then we need to get going. And how we get going is focusing on the activities that produce dollars. And let me be a little bit more specific. There's some high-hanging fruit, and then there's some lower-hanging fruit. I would want more so to take a look at that lower hanging fruit first and try to get some of that. The reason why I say that is because the higher hanging fruit I'm talking about is LTL loads. Yes, you can move LTL loads. You don't need an established network in place already to move LTL loads, but it's certainly a whole lot better to have one. They're gonna move a whole lot easier. But we all start without one, and we have to establish one. So you can still get it done, but you're building a network. So it's harder to move LTL loads, and a lot of times customers give you that to kind of test you. But if you can, focus your attention on some simple loads, some pick and drops, some full truckload pick and drops. Those are pretty easy. Pick it up, drop it off, easy peasy, send the BOL, get paid. Those are the loads that I would want to focus on to try to make the easy money first. Get yourself established, get your feet wet, get your confidence, and then graduate to the LTL loads. Now, it's not always that you have the convenience of doing that, but if you do, if you have the choice of saying, hey, I would like to focus on some of the FTL as opposed to the LTL, I don't think that would be a bad idea. Next, I think is a good idea to focus on, how do I get freight consistently? When you get customers, different types of customers give you access to their freight in different ways. Some customers send you out emails and they say, okay, I need you to give me a bid on these loads. Some customers, you can go on to their load boards or go on to their system and see their loads available, and you can bid on those loads, and you always have access to their freight. I like that way of doing business because it always gives me access to freight and I don't have to wait for somebody to send it to me. Well, there's another way of getting consistent freight, and that's through what's called FEMA load boards. Getting set up with FEMA on those load boards, I think also is going to give you a more consistent flow of freight. Getting set up with customers that have load boards, so to speak, or a TMS that you can access that gives you access to their freight. I am currently set up with that type of customer. Always have access to freight, regardless of how slow things are. Now, yes, freight slows down sometimes and they're not as much freight, but I'm saying I don't have to wait for them to send the loads to me. Next up, don't wait for your work to be rewarded. Sometimes as freight brokers, especially when we first get started with a shipper, we're working with that shipper, we're meeting all of our obligations, we're on time every time, we're moving loads efficiently. We'll sit back and we'll wait for the shipper to come and say, hey, here are some more things that I want you to take a look at. Hey, take a look at this additional lane that we have here. No, don't do that. Don't wait for them to come to you. When you do something good, you go to them and request additional opportunities. Hey, we would like to take a look at any opportunities you might have on the drayage side of the house if you happen to have those type of missions. Hey, we might want to take a look at some of your LTL freight. And one of the options that I like to ask about most is once I get in a lane and I'm starting to move that lane successfully, not having any issues with it, moving it on time, I have a nice amount of trucks in that lane, what I'll ask for is, hey, are you interested in going into contract on this lane? You will be surprised the number of your shippers want price consistency and would agree to you being in contract on those lanes. So definitely want to take a look at that so that it gives you consistent lanes, consistent income. So there's a lot of things to start thinking about as you start to get your feet wet, as you start to get the confidence, because now you've started to move some loads. You've gotten a little bit comfortable with that shipper. Now it's time to expand out a little bit and ask for more responsibility. Don't wait for them to ask you to take on more responsibility. Now, whatever you do, don't miss this crucial point here. Everything that we've talked about today is going to require one crucial element from you: your time. Time is the key. And you're going to have a lot of time thieves out there. You're going to have your family with demands on your time. It's going to seem like, oh, this person is at home, so he's not doing a whole lot. He can do this for me. You have to be very protective of your time. You have to decide what's important, what's not important, and only do those things that are important. Because all of these things that I mentioned will require that you're putting big time into those things to build these relationships with your shippers, to get them to trust you, to know that you're competent, that you can do what you say that you can do, that your service is valuable. It's going to take you time to build all of that. So it's important to be protective of your time. Don't let people just demand your time and you give it, because all the time that you give to other people, you're taking away from your business. And when your business is in the baby stage, when it's in that stage where it can't fend for itself, you have to fend for it. You have to give it everything that it needs. If you can do that, you can be successful in this business. And of course, if not, it's going to be a long road to hoe, as they say. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's the 5-video series, and it's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It'll bring you into the office with me, let you watch over my shoulders. I move loads, talk to shippers and carriers. That way you can get a better understanding of how the business works before you come into it. And just in case you might want to know more about those automated systems that I was talking about in the video where you have access to your customers' freight, I'll leave a free video right here showing me using those systems. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.